Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the City Guild's Care and Beauty Technical webinar this morning. My name's Diane Mitchell, and I'm the Technical Advisor for Hair and Beauty, so I'll be going through this presentation with you this morning. If you do want to ask questions throughout, please just click on the button to ask questions, and I will answer your questions at set times through the presentation. Once this recording has finished, I will send you the presentation, and then later on, once the recording is approved, then I will send you the recording of this webinar. So, on the agenda today this morning, we're going to be going through the Department for Education updates. I'm going to be talking you through the timelines to get yourselves ready for these qualifications. I'm going to go through the new assessment approach that we now have at City and Guilds, and then go through the full beauty therapy offer, the full hairdressing offer, and talk to you a little bit about Key Stage 4 and our Pre-16 qualifications that are now part of the performance tables and are offered as part of the optional groups that learners can choose as part of their GCSE. Then we're going to look at the assessment approach and then the support resources we have found. So we're very pleased at City Guilds. We've been successful with all of our applications to the Department for Education. City Guilds have now got 95 qualifications approved for inclusion on the 2019 performance tables. Across City Guilds, we've now got 8 different Level 2 Key Stage 4 qualifications, which are for your Pre-16 learners. We've got 25 new Level 2 technicals, and we have now 62 Level 3 technicals. We have got other qualifications to add, but within the hair and beauty sector now, we've now been successful in all areas. We have our full portfolio now ready to go live as of September 2017. If you are thinking of switching to the technicals this year, you do not still have to jump this year. The Department for Education has now confirmed that for full-time learners and for your adult learners, you could still continue with NVQ. Section 96 will be turned up at some point, and we do believe that you will have to jump for 2018. But hopefully, once I've gone through this presentation, you will be able to make an informed decision now for your curriculum plans for September 2002. We're in a very fortunate situation at City and Guilds. We have had 69 centres that have been brave enough to make the jump this year to Level 3 technicals, and we have 2,500 learners that are signed up and have been carrying out those end external assessments and those synoptic assessments in the last few weeks, and obviously they're still going until the 20th of May. We have been working very closely with our centres and trying to support them through this change, and we do understand that this is the biggest change in education since the introduction of NVQs 30 years ago. If you have already been through qualification approval for your Level 3s and you've been delivering Level 3s this year, you will get automatic approval for the Level 2 technicals in hair or beauty, depending on what you deliver this year at Level 3. If you haven't gone through the qualification approval process this year, what I would recommend is, if you are thinking of just going for Level 2 this year, then actually get the qualification approval for Level 3, because if you get qualification approval for Level 3, you will then get automatic approval for Level 2. If you only do Level 2 this year, you will still have to go through qualification approval next year for Level 3. We can give you approval if you've got Level 3 for anything below it, but we can't go from Level 2 to Level 3. The main reason we're looking for qualification approval is that the Department for Education do deem these qualifications as high risk. The high risk element really is all around your employer involvement plan. Now, what you need to go through qualification approval is just a plan of what you're intending to do with for learning. You don't have to have less support from employers. At qualification approval stage, it is just a plan, what you are planning to do with your learner. If you're offering this as part of the programme of study, you have to do work experience with an external employer anyway, so you'd be covering the requirements of it. As I say, we at Sitting Guilds have been working very closely with our centres that have been brave enough to make the jump this year, and we have been listening to the feedback. And the feedback that we have been getting before Christmas was really, really positive. People were saying that they really liked the fact that they can have more time to teach and deliver the skills to that young person rather than the burden of ongoing assessment that you have day in, day out if you're delivering a BRQ. And what I mean by that is that because there's no ongoing assessment as part of these qualifications, it is all assessed as part of an externally set and externally tested knowledge paper and an end synoptic assessment, there is no need to be looking at IQA along the way. Yes, you do have to standardise your marking if you've got numerous markers that are making those endpoint assessment decisions, but you do not have that burden of ongoing assessments, finding that curly one, finding that straight one, finding that box one. And the feedback that we're getting is that learners that are doing level 3 this year have got much, much stronger skills. Before Christmas, it was really, really positive. After Christmas, I think panic set in a little bit, but I think panic set in a little bit because we care and because obviously this is completely new to you as a teaching team and to your learners. I think one of the biggest points of feedback that we've got is that actually we do wish that the Department for Education started at level 2 first rather than at level 3. And the reason for that is actually the way we're going to be delivering these technical qualifications is very similar to how they've been delivered at school for the last few years, getting ready for their GCSEs. They don't have all the ongoing assessments that we do at the moment, and they get ready for end of year exam. Now, challenge that some centres have is that actually we gave them a bit of a year off at level 2. Whereas we gave them a full sense of security where you're doing ongoing assessments. If a learner doesn't pass that end of knowledge test, not a problem, they can do it again another day. But that is the whole emphasis is changing for that technicals. And I think suddenly it's been a much steeper hill to climb with those learners that got used to being assessed against a BRQ or an MBQ, suddenly going to the rigour and the quality of what a technical qualification is designed to do. So we have been listening to feedback, and some of the changes we have listened to, we will be making some changes to our assessment approach. Some of the changes that we have been talking to our centres about is mainly around the externally set and externally marked paper. And I think this year, many of our centres that have going with this year have been working slightly blindly. You have a qualification handbook that states what areas could be in the exam. Now, Sitting Guilds got our qualifications approved early on in the process, and actually some of the rules have changed along the way. So we've now adopted some of those softer approaches for our externally set and externally marked element. So what we're going to do as from September 2017, we are going to reduce the content in our externally set and externally marked elements, so it will cover fewer units, which will be focused much more on the critical knowledge that the learner needs to know that cannot be observed through practical performance. What we are looking to do, and we're trying to get these signed off at the moment, is at the beginning of September we will give you a test specification, and it will give you the information you need to better prepare your learners for that end of knowledge test. So what we will do is we'll give you an exam document, and it will have all the learning outcomes on there for each unit, and it will give you an idea of what areas will be tested as part of that externally set and externally marked paper. By doing this, you will be able to better prepare your learners for that end knowledge test. Also, some of the feedback that we have got is that actually Learners doing the externally set paper this year, they had the exam windows, the first opportunity the week beginning the 24th of April. Now, the problem is Easter changes every year, and actually for some learners, actually they came back on the 24th of April, and if they were doing hairdressing, they had that test on that day. They had beauty, it was the next day on the 25th. And what we really want to do is to try and bring that window forward slightly for you. Just so that if you've got more time and you know exactly what areas are going to be in that externally set and externally marked element, you will be able to better prepare your learners. So then we're hoping to bring that window forward. We will have the option of doing it either in February and May or March and June. Now, I've done quite a few of these network presentations now. The feedback from colleges is saying actually February is a little bit too early for hair and beauty. So we are looking to look at possibly the first 2 weeks in March. By bringing the exam window forward, the other feedback that we've got is that actually if those learners are not successful on that written externally set, externally marked paper, by the time we get the results back to you, this year you will only have 3 weeks to get those learners ready for the resit opportunity in June. But by bringing it forward, we still want resit opportunity in June. But if any learners aren't successful, you have a 5 to 6 week window to prepare them, or if they're not successful, that resit opportunity. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. So by doing this, obviously, this will be much better for you as a team to prepare your learners. So the other approach that we've taken and listened to you is that the centres that are delivering this year, we developed some exemplar assignments to support you with the standardisation of the marking of the synoptic assessment. Centres have found these very useful, and what we're going to do is we're going to produce some more for you to make sure you've got across every qualification. The other feedback that we've got is that actually we released to you this year that synoptic end assessment on the 1st of February. What we've decided to do from feedback from customers is actually allow you to see that at the beginning of September. So we will release it to you in September so that you are aware as tutors what is going to be in that end synoptic assessment. But you will not be able to share that with your learners until around about February time. I mean, the process at the moment of updating all the academic planners, which we did for you last year for level 3, I'm updating them for level 3, but also doing new ones for all the level 2s, which will have all of these key dates on it. It will have the key dates of when the externally set and externally marked test paper is going to be, and it will have all the dates when you're allowed to hand over the synoptic assessment to your learners. I've also been in a very, very fortunate position where some centres have invited me in to mark alongside them as part of their mock sample synoptic assessment. And this is really giving me a really good insight to how these qualifications are being delivered and how they're being assessed. But some of the feedback that we're getting is actually, at the moment, you're marking towards 8 different assessment objectives. And actually, there's an awful lot of crossover between those assessment objectives. So as from the 1st of September this year, we will be reducing those assessment objectives. And what I mean by that, as I say, we mark at the moment against 8 assessment objectives. The ones we're going to remove is assessment objective 6, which is all about your research. And actually, that research element comes out of assessment objective 2 and assessment objective 4. The assessment objective on being creative, it was always an assessment objective that I did have some concerns about, because what I feel is creative could be different to what creative. But actually, those creative skills are assessed as part of assessment objective 3, which is your practical aspect. Assessment objective 8 is all about communication skills, and actually that is reinforced through all of assessment objective 2, 3, 4 and 5. So hopefully by reducing those assessment objectives, it will reduce some of the burden for you when you're marking this end synoptic assignment. The other thing also we want to do is to be able to give you a boundary of what is looking like a pass. Again, those centres this year have been working slightly blindly about what is a pass for an end synoptic assessment and what is a pass for an externally marked paper. So we will be able to give you much more transparency here as a centre, so you're not quite working so blindly this year. So the 5 assessment objectives that we will be marking against as from the 1st of September are AO1, which is all about your recall of knowledge. The best way to think about AO1 is all about, throughout that whole 5-hour trade test, 6-hour trade test, they have to be able to show that they've met all the health and safety requirements, environmental sustainable working practices, all those sort of things that come up through a performance. AO2 is all about understanding the concepts and theories, and this will be drawn through different methods. You can still see through an observation if that learner has that technical knowledge. But also for hairdressing, you have to do a pre-assessment plan, a skills plan beforehand, which then you draw some of your evidence for assessment objective 2 from that pre-assessment plan. Also, for hairdressing and for beauty therapy, across all the technicals, they have to be able to evaluate their performance afterwards as well. So again, the evaluation will form up the marks for assessment objective 2. Assessment objective 3 is have they got the application of practical technical skills across all those mandatory units. And this is where, you know, some people find it a little bit challenging. They have to be able to do all the technical skills. They might be amazing at their colour and their creative freestyle, but maybe they have their hair up isn't so great. So that doesn't mean say they will fail, just means they will lose some points. So the application of their practical skills is assessed across the whole holistic approach to that end synoptic assessment. AO4 is all about bringing it together. So this is where your commercial timings come in. Have they brought it together in the most commercially viable way? If they're doing that creative restyle colour, if the client's hair is going from long to short, hopefully they would have restarted it first, so they're going to be colouring the cut, and they're not going to be wasting products. If that client comes in and, you know, if they've got a series between they're doing a full body massage, facial electrical and body electrical service, have they done it in the most logical sequence? Bringing it all together in a coherent way to make sure it's the best for the client and that you are meeting those commercially viable times. AO5 is all about your attention to detail. Are you, if you to think of your learners now, think about this is your X factor outcome, those learners that can walk and talk the talk, but also have got that attention to detail, looking for that perfection, wanting the best to make sure that client goes out 100% happy with their service. So I hope you're liking the new changes we're adopting for the technicals. As I say, we have listened to some feedback, and we will be listening tomorrow to feedback as our learners go through this end synoptic assessment. One of the feedbacks that we have got for hairdressing is that this year, as part of the level 3 restyle, they had to do a disconnected haircut. Some of the feedback that we're getting is actually it's quite challenging to get disconnected haircuts. I think some clients have made the forced to having disconnections that aren't really wanting disconnection. So we're going to take that out next year. We're going to talk to our employer groups, and I think we're going to change it to just be a creative restyle. We'll feed that back to you at September. The other feedback that I have got along the way is that with hairdressing, we debated long and hard should that learner be familiar with that client, and I think we all agree that actually it's best for the learner to be able to choose those clients, to be able to showcase the best of their ability. I think what you've got to really get through to your learners is that they've still got to play the game that day. They are still being assessed and allocated marks against their performance about how they can take with that client, how they consult with that client. So I think you've got to really make sure that learners are aware that if they are bringing somebody in that they are familiar with, that they can't treat them, they've got to treat them that day as a client that they're not familiar with. They've got to play the game on the day. We haven't had this situation with beauty because beauty at level 3, we're saying that client has got to be unfamiliar. They've got to be able to, that body comes through the door and they've got to do a body analysis and skin analysis. They've got to do that SPA experience for that client and adjust their treatment objectives to that client's needs. So I just think that for hairdressing and barbering, although we're allowing them to choose those clients, you've got to really get it through to the learner and to the client that actually this is their opportunity to shine, and they've both got to act. The learner's got to act as if they don't know that client, and that client's got to act as if they are a client in some way. So just to reconfirm, Sitting Guilds has 2 main points for the technical qualifications that goes towards the end overall grade. We've got our synoptic practical assignment, which is externally set and internally marked by you as assessors within the workplace. You decide when those learners are ready to go through to the for that end synoptic assessment. You have a 12-week window to manage as you wish, and you feed your learners in when you think they're ready and fully prepared for that end synoptic assessment to be able to showcase their skills to the best of their ability. We have listened to you, and we will be letting you know as tutors what is going to be in that end synoptic assessment as from 1st of September. So you mark these, and then obviously you decide, and then they will be externally moderated by Sitting Guild. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the moderation process in a moment. The practical aspect is the most important part. It's weighted at 60% of the overall qualification. The externally set and externally marked element, as I say, we've listened to you back. We are going to give you a test specification at the beginning of September, and you will be able to better prepare your learners for that end knowledge test. The end externally set is going to be externally set, and it will be externally marked by Sitting Guilds. These new technicals, you will have no marking to do as part of your summative. The end knowledge test will contribute to 40% of the final grade. We've listened to feedback, and Sitting Guild centres that have been adopting this, using these technicals this year, have said they really like the fact that you have no ongoing assessment. So we're going to continue with our 2 clear methods of assessments, where it will be the end knowledge test will be externally set and externally marked by Sitting Guilds. You will mark the end synoptic assignment, practical aspect, and it will be externally moderated by Sitting Guilds. So you do not have that burden of ongoing assessment. The employer involvement activities is something we do really well at City within hair and beauty. It's something that doesn't worry me at all. We work very closely with our manufacturers, so you might have Weller coming in, L'Oreal coming in, or you might have Dermatological Society. If you're doing this as part of a program study, your learners should be going out on work experience anyway. As qualification approval, all we need is a plan to begin with. When you go and submit your learners' completion of their qualification, you will be asked at some point to give us a spreadsheet of which will detail every learner and what employer involvement activities they have done. And it needs to make sure that every learner does undertake meaningful employer involvement activities. As I say, it could be work experience, it could be weathering, it could be dermatological. Your optional units are assessed by yourselves. They're externally set, they're being written by Sitting Guilds. And we've adopted the approach that we're going to use an assignment case study approach. So for the optional units, there will be no Evolve online testing. It will be an assignment approach which will be on our website. Those learners will have a client, they will carry out their consultation, which will form part of their assignment. So they will identify the client's treatment objectives, go through that consultation. They will carry out their performance, so it could be one final assessment or it could be two final assessments. These will be graded. They're very much graded, very similar to what you do today, which is like your BRQ, saying are they a 1 or a 2 or a 3. Your optional units are really business as usual. And then what makes up the final part of that optional unit that the learner has then got to evaluate and reflect on their performance. All the optional units are on our website. They are password protected. You should have access to them if you're offering these this year. Next slide. Okay. We can now start to look at the technical qualifications we have on offer for you. Then we start with Key Stage 4. Now, Key Stage 4 is our pre-16 qualification. Now, when a learner goes to take their options in line, they have to do their 5 academic subjects, and then they have an option to pick up 3 technical qualifications as part of their options in Year 9. And Sitting Girls wasn't successful in getting our Key Stage 4 heritage on the first attempt. We weren't successful on the second attempt. The reason we weren't successful, we really wanted to try and have a practical aspect as part of this qualification. And we have now been successful. So these qualifications have been live this year. We have got quite a few schools and centres that are using these. And the feedback that we're getting is the learners are really enjoying the practical aspect. So we've got 3 units. They have been based on the old principle of learning. This is 120 guided learn outs, so it's comparable to 1 GCSE, and the learner will come out with that as A star through to C. The 3 units are 201 Exploring the World of Hair and Beauty, 202 Science of Hair and Beauty, 203 Design in the Hair and Beauty sector. Exploring the World of Hair and Beauty and Design in the Hair and Beauty sector forms part of the practical synoptic assignment, which includes practical skills as well as the learner going off and researching a particular era, which they then have to do their end look on. The end externally set and externally marked element is on the science of hair and beauty. Don't forget the same rules apply for Key Stage 4 as not Key Stage 5. With the knowledge test, you only have 1 opportunity for a reset. And for the synoptic end practical assignment, you don't have an opportunity to reset in the same academic. Now looking at what we've got for our beauty offer. To say we were successful with everything we put forward to the Department of Education, so I think we've got a very, very strong offer for beauty. And my biggest message at the moment is success has still got to be really, really important to you. And I think we've got to think now that the rigor of some of these qualifications, because they are now aligned to a GCSE at level 2 and an A level at level 3, we have to think that some of our learners will not be capable of going on to level 3. We have to think that actually we still do have a duty and care of those to get them into employment. It doesn't always mean so they have to get to level 3 to be employable. There are job opportunities out there at level 2. So I think my biggest message is that success has still got to be the primary concern. Bums on seats are still really important to us, but it's the bums on the right seat we have to think about. So it's really thinking carefully about those learners and their progression route onto a higher level or into employment. So what we've got on offer is we have got our level 2 technical certificate in beauty therapy. We've got a new qualification, which is our level 2 technical certificate in beauty retail. Now this qualification is designed primarily for, we have got a new beauty consultancy apprenticeship coming out later on in the year, if not early next year. Now, the reason I think this qualification could be quite, could grow for us, especially as part of beauty apprenticeships, is that we're being funded in 2 ways for apprenticeships now. And the way that I think apprenticeships grow, especially in beauty, is through the new beauty consultancy apprenticeship. Because employers that now have more than a £3 million wage bill have to put 0.5% of their wage bill into a new tax, which will pay for their apprenticeships going to a digital account. Now, people like Mac, Benefit, House of Fraser, John Lewis, Boots will be affected by this levy. So if they've got to pay 0.5% of their wage bill into this digital account, they're going to want to use it. So you'll probably find that the beauty consultancy apprenticeship will now start to grow. But the problem is many large department stores don't want to have a 16-year-old behind a counter. So that gives us a year with them to start to build their skills, a bit of work experience, and they can then step off onto beauty consultancy apprenticeship. I think we can also, many of our centres are looking at this beauty technical certificate as a bit of a bridging qualification as well. Now, hopefully most of you do still do your own interview, and I know that when you are interviewing learners, they could be quite an academic learner. I mean, they could be predicting good GCSE results, but they come to you and they maybe have difficulty with maybe communication skills, their personal skills, and actually sometimes you think, actually, are they really ready to go straight on to a beauty therapy qualification at level 2? You could actually start those learners if you think they need to on a beauty, level 2 technical certificate in beauty retail for 1 year. And at the end of that year, the learner could then be much more in an informed place to make a decision. Do they want to go on to beauty therapy? Do they want to step off and go on to beauty apprenticeship? Or do they like the makeup aspect of the beauty industry and want to go on to makeup industry, the makeup artistry qualification? So it's giving your learners a choice. Many learners that come to us at 16 do not really completely understand what the beauty therapy industry is about. And they've got to start understanding there is many avenues out there to get into job roles. So we have our level 2 technical certificate in retail, we have our level 2 technical certificate in nail treatments, and we have our makeup artistry. I'm going to start now to have a look at how these qualifications are made up. So we've got a level 2 technical certificate in beauty therapy. And don't forget now, it's our employers now that have the voice of what are the most important skills to make something most employable as a beauty therapist. And don't forget, there are still job opportunities out there for a learner at level 2, as a beauty therapist at level 2. They don't always have to go on to level 3. We want to try and maximise funding. We want to try and keep those learners on programme for 2 to 3 years. So they could start at level 1, then go on to beauty therapy at level 2, and then go off into employment. We would have done our job, we would have got them into employment. Or if they're coming in and they can't start at level 1 because they've got their level 2, they've got their level 2 entitlement, don't think they're quite ready to go on to beauty therapy at level 2. You can start with beauty retail for a year, beauty therapy for a year, and then go on to level 2 start. So you have got options, right level course, right levels. So within the beauty therapy at level 2, our employers have said, what are the most important skills? We've got to draw out that anatomy and physiology. We've really got to deliver that at level 2 to prepare those learners to go on to level 3 beauty staff. We've got the principles and practices of a beauty therapist. This unit is all around your health and safety requirement, your communication and consultation skills, your aftercare, your values and behaviours code of practice. Then we've got hair removal, then you've got your face and skin analysis, you've got your manicure, pedicure, gels, lash and brow treatments, and applied makeup. You've then got one optional unit. In many of our technicals at level 2, we don't have optional units, but we wanted this qualification to try and reflect as close as possible to the therapy apprenticeship that will come up later in the year or early next year. You have a choice of male skincare treatment, tanning, and introduction to the spa industry. Our level 2 technical certificate in beauty therapy is working in the beauty-related retail industry, communication, customer services, really start to build that learner's communication skills. Sales and promotion activities, got skincare for beauty retail, so you're doing mini facials, you're starting that learner on the journey of starting to understand the anatomy and physiology of the face. Then got makeup for beauty retail, so again, a day and evening makeup, starting to introduce them to the world of makeup. And then the retail of additional beauty products. So at the end of that qualification, the learner could step off and think, actually, do you know what, I really want to go on to beauty consultancy apprenticeship. Or they could decide, actually, I really like the skincare side, I want to go on to beauty therapy at level 2. Or I really like the makeup side, I want to go on to the media makeup qualification. So it's giving your learners choice to make sure they progress into the right industry, to make sure we're optimising their job opportunities within the beauty industry. Then we've got our level 2 technical certificate in nail treatments. We've got anatomy and physiology just complete, working in the nail industries, nail enhancements, a clear system, one system of your choice, manicure, pedicure, and micro gels. Then if we look at our level 2 technical certificate in makeup artistry, this is a much better qualification. We've worked with media makeup artists to design this new qualification. So you've got principles of working in the makeup industry, anatomy and physiology for makeup artists, principles of researching and developing showcase designs, the art of applying makeup, hair artistry, creative makeup artistry. That is our level 2 offer. And now run through our level 3. We have now got 5 clear routes into 5 different job outcomes, and this is really important as part of technicals and looking at the post-16 skills plan. What the government are really adamant about is we get away from the Heinz 57 varieties. We go back to clear routes into employment. So we've got our level 3 advanced technical diploma in beauty and spa. These qualifications at level 3 have now obviously got A-level comparability, and they now have new categories. So it's really a great selling thing to do your parents' evening, talking to parents that their learners, their children can come to college and learn to be a beauty therapist or makeup artist. And these qualifications still open doors for their children to go on to higher education if they decide to at a later date. We've got a really good HEI guide which I'll send through to you later today, which gives you the universities that are now starting to really embrace these technical qualifications. And some of the feedback that we're getting is they're absolutely loving the advanced technical beauty and spa and the complementary therapies, and they're now seeing these as a great entry point onto a physiotherapy degree, which is great for learning. So we've got our level 3 advanced technical diploma in nanotechnology, complementary therapist. We've got advanced technical diploma in media makeup artistry, and then we've got our theatrical special effects and media makeup artistry. So look at how these qualifications are made up. This is what our beauty industry rules said are the most important skills to make somebody most employable as a beauty and spa therapist. So we've got promote and sell, we've got anatomy and physiology, we've got body massage, we've got a new body massage unit now, which incorporates your pre-blended aromatherapy oils, and it now includes forearm and no-hand massage. You've got your facial electrical therapy treatments, your body electrical therapy treatments, and your dry spa treatments. So that is your mandatory content, and that is what your external knowledge tests will be based on, and object assessment based on. Then have to choose 90 guided learning hours from one of the following optional units. Don't forget, these will be assessed as part of a case study stroke assignment, which will be graded by yourselves in college. So you've got a choice of epilation, Indian head, tanning, monitor and maintain the client's spa journey, provide individual semi-permanent lashes, dermatology, research and advancements in the industry, and provide body stone therapy treatment. We then move on to our nails. Again, the mandatory units are promote and sell, business practice, anatomy and physiology for hands and feet, enhance and maintain nails using micro gel, including hard gels, liquid and powder nail enhancements, create and apply nail art, the creation and presentation of the lookbook, chemistry of nail products. Then you choose one optional unit from gel polish, create airbrush design for nails, nail wrap enhancement, competition work, enhance nails using electric files. Complementary therapies is complementary therapies. What we have done is just picked it up and put it into a technical qualification. Nothing has really changed from it. Because this is regulated by the CNHC, we weren't able to change it at all. Because obviously, they obviously, part of the health authority, have the right to what should be at for therapy. So the good news is, though, now it does have UCAS points and it does have its comparable to me. Then we move on to our media makeup artistry. So the mandatory units are working in the film, TV and theatre industry, the creation presentation of lookbook. And when I've been into some centres observing and working with them, some of these lookbooks and industry portfolios learners producing this year are amazing. Then got fashion and photographic makeup, media makeup, creative hair design, create historical hair and makeup looks, body art, camouflage makeup. You've then got your optional unit on specialist bridal hair and makeup, cutting and styling techniques for performers, avant-garde hair and makeup, the evolution of cosmetics retail, and media makeup. Your learners could go from the advanced technical diploma in media makeup artistry onto the theatrical, especially as many of our learners do want to go into higher education. And if the learners do both of these, come out with good marks, they could go out with maximum UCAS points, which again is the entry requirements to many good universities. So we've got cutting and styling techniques for performance, avant-garde hair and makeup, creative makeup design for productions industry demands, apply prosthetic pieces of board cap, special effects makeup, create dress and fit facial postage, and body art for competition. Then again you have your optional units on camouflage makeup, media makeup blogging, create, cast small prosthetic pieces and board caps, costume design and prop making, and wig dressing and fitting maintenance. What we have done for you, and I know it's going to be quite difficult for you to see on screen, but I will send you this as a PDF. Okay. The biggest message I'm trying to get out at the moment is white level, white level. And we have to think about preparing those learners for the world of work. As I say, it doesn't always mean that every learner has to go to level 3. There are job opportunities out there at level 2. So I think you've really got to think about carefully about your starting point for learners. Right level course. If they've got to start at level 1, then the level 1s, there's no change to level 1 qualifications. Level 1 qualifications are not affected by these reforms. The level 1 will be business as usual. And we're in the process of extending all of our NVQs, VRQs at the moment across level 1 to level 3. Because as you say, you don't have to jump this year. Okay? If you feel that you want to continue with level 3 for another year, we are extending our current qualifications. Level 2 entry point learners could come from you from a Key Stage 4. If they do come from a Key Stage 4, they can still progress onto a Level 2. If you do have a really academic learner coming, then some learners could go straight in at Level 3. And the qualifications that they could go in at Level 3 at could be the Level 3 Technical Diploma in Makeup Artistry. But you would always want to make sure that the learner has those creative skills. Maybe has done a GCSE in art. I think with post-16 skills plan, we've got to start thinking that we want to attract the more academic learner as an alternative route to go into higher education. So they could come in at Level 3 and do media makeup artistry in the first year, then go on to theatrical for the second year, and then step off and go into higher education. As I say, with the Level 2, I'm showing you along here that they could start with, you don't feel they're completely ready to go on to a Level 2 in beauty therapy, you don't think they've got communication skills to go straight in at beauty therapy at Level 2, you could do a bridging qualification, start them at Level 2 and do beauty retail for a year. Then possibly the learner's better informed then to know whether to step off onto apprenticeship, go on to the nail treatments, go on to makeup artistry or go on to beauty therapy, and then step off into employment, or then go on to a Level 3. So you have got a choice. If you've got any questions, start to type them up. I'm going to go through the hairdressing portfolio now, but I will answer any questions you have at the end of the section that I'm doing on hairdressing. So, moving on to hairdressing now. As I say, I was quietly confident for what we'd put forward for beauty therapy for Department for Education. I was keeping everything possible for our hairdressing offer. But we have been successful. We are very lucky. We have now got our full quota for what we put forward to the Department for Education. It's all been approved. Now, to talk you through the hairdressing portfolio, we have got our Level 2 technical certificate file, which we'll have a look at how this is made up in a moment. The qualification that slightly worries me is our Level 2 technical certificate in hairdressing. And it worries me slightly if you think back before QCF 8-9 years ago, we had 1,000 hours to deliver an NVQ Level 2 hairdressing. We didn't pick it up over 2 years, we did it over 1 year, but we played a game for quite a few years. And what I mean by that is we really need 2 years at Level 2. We don't want a 2-year qualification because attention and achievement has always been bad over a 2-year qualification. So in hairdressing, we played a bit of a game. We started learners at Level 1, got them through their Level 1 qualification by Christmas, and started to deliver the Level 2. We can't do that any longer now because it's the right level of course for the right learner. If that learner's coming with their Level 2 entitlement, we get slated by Ofsted if they go on to Level 1. We've got a good reason why we are doing that. Then what we've done for many years is we've done the VRQ Level 2 in the first year, then the NVQ Level 2 in the second year. We can't do that any longer now because that's fast testing. Got the same in both qualifications. And then just recently what we've been doing with QCF is we've been doing the certificate in the first year and then maybe topping them up to a diploma in the second year. That is going to become more and more challenging. So with hairdressing, learners that are coming with no prior experience, if they're coming from Key Stage 4, Key Level 1, I'm quite happy that we can get them through in one academic year. Or if they're coming through and they're more academic learners and they don't have to pick up their maths and English, I'm quite happy to get through one academic year if they have those dexterities. But I think with the Level 2 technical certificate, which does have cutting, colouring, styling service, I think we've got to be careful that we don't become a jack of all trades, master of none. So this is where my 2-year hairdressing qualification comes in, but where we've split it into 2 separate qualifications. So you get an achievement at the end of each year. We've got our level 2 technical certificate in cutting and styling services and our level 2 technical certificate in coloring services. When I put this forward to the Department for Education, they were happy to split it as different job outcomes for each one. Also, the other thing they stated is that you could have a prerequisite to say that you had to do the cutting and styling before going on to do the colouring. So we had a great debate which went on for ages. What should come first? Should cutting come first or colouring? And I think the polls, when I took it out to a wide survey, were very, very split. I think 52% of people came back that the cutting should come first, and 48% thought the colouring should come first. You now can do either. So if you think colouring should come first, that's fine. But I have built it slightly that cutting seems to come better first than colouring. That is much. So different job opportunities. For a barber, it's a junior barber. For hairdresser, it's a junior stylist. For cutting and styling, it could be, the job role for this could be as a blow-dry stylist, blow-dry bar. Now, many of our true level entry 3 and level 1 learners may never get to level 3, but they could be employed as a blow-dry stylist and a blow-dry bar. And if we get them employed as a blow-dry stylist and a blow-dry bar, we've done our job. We've got them into employment. So let's have a look at how these are made up. So, for my level 2, for my level 2 technical certificate barbering, my barbering industry board were adamant in the first year they wanted those learners to nail the cutting and styling skills. They didn't want colouring. If they want to pick up colouring, they can pick up an optional unit within the level 3 barbering. So we've got principles and practices. We've got shampooing, conditioning, treat hair, cut hair using basic barbering techniques, dry and finish men's hair, cut facial hair shape, create basic outline detailing. My barbering industry board were adamant, and the same with my hair industry board. They wanted exactly the same skills taught to my full-time learners as to your apprentices, because as we all well know, cutting is cutting, colouring is colouring, and we are confusing employees out there with what an MVQ, what a VR. So I have picked up my MVQ units, which are based on the NOS of 2015, which will make up your new apprenticeships. We'll talk about in another webinar later on today. So you could potentially have your full-time learners and your apprentices in exactly the same room. Your schemes of work, lesson plans will be exactly the same, but how you would assess them will be slightly different. But your skills will be exactly the same. That's barbering. For hairdressing, the principles and practices unit again is your consultation unit, your health and safety, your aftercare, your values and behaviours. With hairdressing, we've got your principles and practices, you've got your shampoo and conditioning, cut hair using basic techniques. And don't forget now, as we've adopted the rules of 6008 new MVQs, that when we're talking about hairdressing now, it is hairdressing, not women's hairdressing. So you can use a mixture of male or female clients throughout the hairdressing qualification. Obviously, barbering, it is obviously on men. So we've got our cut and hair using basic barbering techniques or basic techniques. We've got style and set hair. Now what we've done is we have merged this blow dry unit out of the MVQ and the set dress hair into one unit, because it made sense because there was all sober knowledge. And then you've got your colour and lighting hair. Then we look at how the 2-year programme could come into practice for you. So we've got the level 2 technical certificate cutting and styling service. We've got principles and practices unit. Within this qualification, we concentrate on consultation skills around cutting and styling. Within the colouring one, it's consultation skills around the chemical services. Then got your shampoo and conditioning unit. We've got cut hair using basic techniques, style and set dress hair, and plait and twist. So in that first year, you just nail their cutting and styling skills. At the end of that, they'll take their externally marked element on across those knowledge areas, and you'll do your end synoptic test, which we'll look at in a moment, on those practical skills. That learner can then either step off and go on to an apprenticeship, that's a positive outcome, or if they come from level 1, they can go from level 1, level 2 technical certificate in cutting styling, and then either step up onto apprenticeship or go into employment as a blow-dry stylist and blow-dry barber. Obviously, the learner can't drop out of education at the age of 17, so if they're coming straight in at level 2, they can do this for a year, get your success rates, and then come back to do the second year, if you wish to, of the level 2 technical certificate in public services. The way this qualification is made up, you've got your principles and practices unit then, but that's not a problem that they're in both qualifications because you've got a different slant on both qualifications. Then you've got your colour and lighting day unit. And then we've developed a new unit on styling and finishing services because if you are doing this 2-year qualification, we want them to continue those skills that you've developed in the first year. If you're having this as the first year of a 2-year qualification, you're going on to custom styling in the second year, you still want to start developing their styling and finishing services in that first year. Because if they're doing that colour, they've got to be able to set it, they've got to be able to blow dry it after. Then the learners have an option for doing one of the optional units, perming or relaxing. Don't forget this is going to be assessed by a case study stroke assignment approach. So those learners can practice as much as they like on the block, but that final assessment, which will be one final assessment, which will be a case study approach. So the client comes in, that hair relaxing service or that perm, they carry out that full consultation, called in the client's needs, they then carry out that perm or relaxing service. It's got to be on a breathing client, and then they are then do their evaluation. So moving on now to level 3, I think if we go back to a 2-year hairdressing qualification, we will then be fully preparing our learners for a level 3. You progress from the level 2 hairdressing onto level 3 and do it over 2 years for your more able learners, or you can split it into the 3-year hairdressing qualification. So what we got for hairdressing and barbering, we've got 2 very clear routes into employment now. We've got a level 3 advanced technical diploma in barbering and our level 3 advanced technical diploma in barbering. Again, my industry board stated what are the most important skills. Again, they stated they wanted exactly the same tools to their hairdressing, their full-time learners as to your apprentices. So I've just literally picked up the units from the NVQ and to a technical. So we've got consultation, we've got cut hair using a combination of barbering techniques, design and create facial hair shapes and shape. So they are your mandatory core skills. Then you have to choose 90 guided learning hours from the following optional units. We've got colour and lighting men's hair unit. It's a level 2 unit because the level 3 unit really isn't applicable to men's hairdressing. What man would have a combination of colours and combination techniques. This unit is much more about partial hair colouring, shoe shining, full head phase eyes, colours, much more applicable to the barbering industry. Then we've got relaxing, promote self, specialist hair and scalp treatment, the creative hair design skills, and design and create patterns. Then moving on to the hairdressing. One thing that my employment board, my employer industry board were adamant about, to make something most employable as a hairdresser, they had to pick up colour correction. And I agree with that, because I think most of the clients that come through the door now do have an element of colour correction. And don't forget, we want to give these learners the best opportunity to be most employable. So, consultation, cut hair using a combination of techniques, that's your creative restyling unit, creatively coloured lighting hair, creatively styled dress, and colour correction. Then you have your optional units, 60 guided learners where you can pick up cut men's hair using basic techniques, creative hair extensions, smoothing and strengthening systems, this is your keratin blow dry, create a variety of perm effects, relaxing, fire alarm, and a big over the drill, I'll just wait for that to stop. services, specialist hair and scalp treatments, and creative hair design skills. That is our full offer for hairdressing as well. I can't see any questions coming up yet at the moment, so I will move on. So I've gone through all the structures now with you. So what we're now going to do is we're going to start to look at the assessment method. I think one of the biggest areas many people are concerned about with making the switch to the technicals is the externally set and externally marked element. But as I say, we have listened to your feedback, and we are going to, as I say, give you an exam document which will highlight to you what areas within each unit will be assessed as part of that externally set and externally marked element. The external assessment will be short answer questions, and actually many of our centres have actually said they are much preferring short answer questions now to multiple choice. Actually, in some cases, multiple choice just confuses learners. So many of our learners are visual learners, and actually by doing a short answer question, it's really sort of painting the picture for that learner, and actually they're doing really well with mock assessments that we've had on our website. You'll have the choice of doing paper or online or a mixture of both. This should be depending on each individual learner needs. Some learners don't cope well in front of the computer screen, so they could do a paper-based version of the test. The online test and the paper-based test will be exactly the same, and it will now cover the critical knowledge, which you will have a test specification on the 1st of September, so you can fully prepare your learners. It contributes to 40% of the overall technical qualification, and it will be graded distinction, merit, pass, and possibly fail. And I think we've got to get our heads around there will only be one opportunity for reset. If the learner fails the reset opportunity, they do fail the qualification. So this is the area that I think we've really got to prepare our learners for. And Sitting Guilds has got a really good document for you on how to prepare your learners. And I will send that on to you after this webinar finishes today. And I think this is what schools do really, really well with their learners. They talk to them about what a command verb is. What do we mean when we say state? What do we mean when we say list, describe, explain? And these are the sort of things that you're going to have to start to prepare your learner for. Looking at how many marks the question is worth will tell them how much detail they need to go in. And I think it's really important that we become, we keep on questioning our learners as part of getting them ready for this externally set and externally marked element. We keep on questioning them, well, why are you doing that? After every service, get them to reflect and say, why they decided to use a 6% oxide, why did they use that massage technique? So you keep on becoming a bit of an inner child with your learner. So why are you doing that? Why? They get to understand, and that will help prepare them for this end test. So here is just a few questions that are really looking at when we're talking about sort of state and list command verbs. So we're asking the learner to state 2 methods of cleaning makeup brushes. So it's worth 2 marks. We're looking at 2 bullet point answers. If we're asking them to state or list, it is a bullet point response. We don't want to go and tell us a whole essay, a whole story about how they go and clean brushes. So as brief as a brush cleaner and a soap and water. 2 marks, move on. State 1 consequence to the client of the stylist having poor personal hygiene. So it could be, it's worth 1 mark, so just 1 response. It could be cross-infection, it could be cross-infestation, it could be cross-contamination, or offence to clients. Why is it important to follow professional practices when in the beauty industry? State 2 reasons for presenting a professional appearance in the workplace. Give 3 reasons why it's important to maintain client confidentiality. So we're looking at bullet point responses. because we're only asking state important. Give 3 reasons. Then we're going into a little bit more of a response needs. We're asking the learner now, we're using the new command verb, we're asking them to describe the process of the 2 massage techniques used when conditioning hair. So we know efferage and petrissage, they get a point each for those, but that's not enough. They've got to go and describe that massage technique. So it's a smooth, stroking movement, arms to hands, a deep kneading movement using hands. Then we've got a make-up question about using a colour wheel to identify colours that correct the following skin variations. So what corrects a red skin complexion, sallow skin complexion, pigmented skin complexion. Then we're going on to a bit more of an extended response. So a customer would like their gel polish removed and have requested a luxury manicure treatment to improve the condition of their natural nails. Describe the process. So we're asking them to describe, and we're talking about a process. So a process is a step-by-step account how to do something. So describe the process. So buff the top coat prior to soaking. Soak the nails in an acetone using individual nail baths. Remove gel using lint-free pads or cotton wool pads soaked with product remover. Those sort of things is what we're looking at, the process, step-by-step approach. Describe the effects of the following using a luxury manicure treatment. So, what does a cuticle removal do? What does a paraffin wax do? Just getting your learners to look at how many marks it's worth, and then that will show you how much information to go into. This is an extended response for a hairdressing question. A client has a type 3, and don't forget now with the new standards, you're now having to teach hair classifications from type 1, very straight hair, to type 4, which is excessive curly hair. So this client has a type 3 naturally curly hair. She's having a shampoo and styling service and would like her hair straight. Explain which of the following is the most suitable technique to achieve this. Will it be blow dry or will it be dry setting? It will be a blow dry, obviously. So now explain why you would choose blow dry over a dry set. Describe how a stylist can ensure the style lasts as long as possible. Going all into your alpha beta, your effects of humidity. So what sort of things would the stylist be looking for? Okay, if the client has got really curly hair, we need to allow the hair to cool, to strengthen the bottoms before we remove that brush. Using styling products. A question has just come up about deducting marks. I think what people are looking for here is that our markers will not be checking for the use of English language. We are looking at their technical skills, their technical knowledge here. Obviously, as part of your journey, as part of Ofsted, they will be looking at your correcting that learner's spelling and punctuation. As long as my markers understand what that learner is talking about, they will not deduct marks for bad grammar or spelling mistakes. They will always look for positive, okay? But obviously, if a learner puts something down completely wrong, then obviously, if they've got the right question in there as well, then that marker will have to go to the principal marker to see if they will allow a mark for that. That will go under, that will be referred to. Moving on now to the synoptic practical assignment. Now, obviously, this is obviously going to be across all the practical skills with mandatory content. We will not be looking at the optional units. They will be assessed completely separately by you in the centre, but they will still be moderated as a desk-based activity by your moderator. There, in some cases, especially around media and theatrical, there are research activities. As part of the synoptic practical assignment, the learners do have to come back and reflect on their performance. They have to be able to evaluate. This doesn't have to be on the day of the synoptic assessment, because if that synoptic assessment is 5 hours long or 6 hours long, then those learners are going to be pretty shattered at the end of it. What we do say is they have to come back within 3 working days, and then in supervised conditions, then fill out their reflection and evaluation. We do feel the moderation approach is more robust and has more rigour, and it is also a bit of your safety blanket. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the moderation approach now. You have a 12-week window to get your learners through this end practical synoptic assessment. You manage that within your centre. Now, if you've got 50, 100 learners, you probably wouldn't even be looking at that first 6 weeks of that window, because you want to have maximum teaching time to get those learners to the best of their ability to be in the best position to get top marks. Okay? So you put your learners through when you are ready. When that window opens, the moderation support team of Sitting Guilds will contact you, and they will ask you when you are thinking of planning to carry out your end synoptic assessments. So it might be after Easter, you're going every Thursday each week, you're going to plan to put your learners in when you feel they're ready. So you will then be assigned a moderator who will then come in on one of those days if you have visiting moderation. Not every hair and beauty qualification has a visiting moderation. Hairdressing does, barbering does, and beauty therapy, complementary therapies do. But areas around theatrical media, where it's more of a research and portfolio of evidence, there is no need for us to send in a visiting moderator. Because the things where we want a visiting moderation is where we are seeing that client interaction, we're seeing that communication skills, how they're looking after that client, all those sorts of things. So if it is hair, beauty, complementary therapies or barbering, you will have a visiting moderation visit. Your moderator will come in on one of the days that you state you want them to come in over a period of time. They will only come in once. As part of your pre-moderation preparation, your moderator will email you, and you have to fill in a pre-moderation form of what learners may be being assessed on that day. You have to rank your learners. You have to give us an understanding of where you think they are sitting. And it is very much as simple as who's looking top of the class as a distinction, who's looking like a merit, and who's looking like a pass. You know that anyway. As part of Ofsted, you have to state, you have to show that if you have got a learner that's looking like a pass, what are you doing to get them up to a merit? What are you doing for your merit to get them up to a distinction? And what are you doing for your high flyers, for stretch challenge, to get them up to a distinction star? We just need to know roughly where you think they sit. Are they a distinction, are they merit, or a pass? Because what your moderator would quite like to see on the day that they come in is learners across the different ranks. But what we don't want you to do is to push a learner that's looking maybe a pass in just because the moderator's coming in, and then maybe that learner might benefit from a few minutes extra teaching to get them maybe in a better position to maybe strive for that merit. So if on that day that moderator only sees your distinctions and your merits, that's not a problem. But what they will ask for is, depending on your sample size, they will ask to see a desk-based sample of those other learners. Depending on how many learners you have will depend on your sample size. And that could be from anything from 6 learners up to around about 20. Obviously, your moderator will not see a practical performance for 20 learners. They may only see 5 or 6 on that day. So then they will then ask to see a desk-based sample of those other learners to make up that full sample size. And when your moderator comes in on that day, they will mark alongside you. At the end of it, they cannot comment on your marks because they wouldn't have seen the full picture. Because at that point, learners wouldn't have completed their reflection and their evaluation, which will make up the total marks for assessment objective 2. But that moderator will be able to support you to make sure that you have all your answers about how to submit things onto the portal, what evidence you need, and they will be able to give you some support around how you critique your marks against the assessment objectives, but they will not be able to comment on your marks at that point. Once that window closes, it closes this year on the 19th of May, and then it closes for that academic year, because if the learners don't have the skills by the 19th of May, they won't have them by the 19th of June. As I said, I probably will be looking at the first 4 to 6 weeks of the window, but please don't leave it to the last 2 weeks of the window. Just in case that learner goes off poorly or their client doesn't turn up, you really want to be looking at the middle sort of 6 weeks. So once that window closes, you submit your evidence onto the portal. You do not submit evidence for every learning. You submit the sample size that your moderator has asked for. And that contributes, the practical contributes to 60% qualification. Once that window closes, your moderator will pull up the learners that they've marked alongside you. And what I love about moderation, as I say, you know what's happening in your centre. You don't know what's happening in centres across the country, but our moderators have been trained to see what the national standard is. You could be making your learners jump through too many hoops, and you could mark it too harshly. What your moderator can then do, compared to their marks, is think actually, on looking at the full sample size that they have, they can then make a decision, once they've consulted with the principal moderator, that actually they feel you're marking too harshly, and they could raise your marks for all your beauty therapists or your hairdressers that year against the national standard. Or they could decide that actually you're being a little bit too lenient, and obviously once they've fed that back to the principal moderator, they could actually decide to lower your marks. So your moderation is your safety blanket, all right? So, you know, hopefully this year we will have a much better understanding to be able to give you some guidance on what a pass mark looks like, what a merit looks like, what a distinction looks like. So let's have a look at some of the mock assessments. So this is a sample synoptic assessment that we've put together for beauty. Currently on our website, the sample synoptic assessments are password protected because they are going to be the live assessments that we give you on the 1st of September. So I've recreated some sample synoptic assessments to give you a full picture of what you're looking for. So for certificate of beauty therapy, you've applied for a job in the local beauty salon and you've been shortlisted for a job interview. You're required to perform a trade test. You must consult with your clients to formulate a treatment plan, prepare yourself, your client and the treatment area, and you must perform a range of treatments based on the consultation and treatment objective. So this is a 6-hour trade test. Don't forget your learners would have to have a comfort break at some point and stop the clock when they go off for a lunch break or for a comfort break. A minimum of 2 clients. So they're expected to do a light curd gel polish treatment on the hands to include file, cuticle work, hand and arm massage, a pedicure, a half leg and underarm wax, a facial including skin analysis, an eyelash tint and eyebrow shape, and a makeup. Don't forget, it might be slightly different from the one that we give you in September. So that is what we're looking for beauty. With retail, this is obviously a slightly different type of synoptic assessment to beauty therapy. So we're giving them a scenario. You're currently working as a beauty consultant for a brand which sells makeup, skincare and body care. The counter is in a department store. The counter is required to make £3,000 per month, and at the end of this month the counter is 20% under its target. Your manager has asked you to plan and run a promotional activity to help reach the required target. Your manager has also allowed you to discount products by 25%. So So this is now they go off and do their promotional plans. So there's a bit of research here, a bit of planning. So they go off and plan and market their promotion. Then they have to then, on the day, set up a counter and independently run their promotion, which includes demonstrating makeup, so very similar to you're going into MAC and you want to try out different blushers and foundations and doing a look, and skincare products, so maybe mini facials. And I think we can really think about how to do this in a college environment, really be quite part of enterprise and skills. It can be quite a stretch and challenge activity for learning. And again, it links really well with functional skills. For nails, again, we're setting the scene. There's going to be a bit of a promotional activity here. They have to produce a promotional leaflet, advertising your services, and produce a bit of a lookbook showcasing various nail looks and nail art services. Then you have to carry out 4.5 hours, around about 4.5 hour services of 2 different clients. You have to do a manicure with gel polish, and nail art, and a set of nail enhancements. Moving on to your media makeup. Again, the learners are asked to go from research, but this one is the 1960s, and they've been given a scenario that you're contacted by a regular client who's going to a 1960s themed fancy dress party. The client's asked you to put together a bit of a lookbook, mood board on different designs that you could include hair, makeup and body paint. And then obviously the client then chooses one of them, which then the learner takes through to do their final showcasing final look. So that's the beauty. Then moving on to hairdressing, for barbering, they have to carry out 2 shampoo and conditioning services followed by 2 different cuts. They have to dry and finish one of the cuts, and then they have to cut and shape facial hair. So again, we're looking at a minimum of 2 clients across around about 3 hours. For the level 2 technical certificate in hairdressing, again, they have to do 2 shampoos followed by 2 different cuts. They have to do a blow dry and finish. They have to do a colour and lighting, and it's a set of woven highlights to 50% of the head. And then they have to do a set and hair up. So again, minimum of 2 clients, and this is going to be roughly across a 6-hour period, but again, then touch on comfort break. So this is quite a heavy synoptic assessment for the hairdressing students. As I say, for those learners that come in with no prior hairdressing experience, if you think they will probably have to carry this out by week 30, for some learners it could be an awful lot of skills to develop by that time. So this is where then my 2-year separate 1-year hairdressing qualifications come in. So level 2 technical certificate cutting styling services. So again, 2 shampoo and conditioning services followed by 2 different cuts. Those cuts will be specified what type of cuts they need to do. We're asking for these learners as well, one of them needs to be a blow dry finish, creating movement flow, because obviously the job outcome for this qualification could be as a blow dry stylist and blow dry bar. Plait and twist hair and set hair and dress hair up. So again, a minimum of 2 clients across around about 4 hours. Then we look at the level 2 technical certificate in colouring services. 2 colouring and finishing services. One must include a set of woven highlights, and the other one must be a different service. Woven highlights must be on a minimum of 50% head, and the other colour needs to change depth and tone. So it can't just be a semi-permanent colour or a tone. Again, one of those must have a blow dry finish, and the other one must be a set. It doesn't have to be a wet set, it could be a dry set or a wet set. So again, a minimum of 2 clients across around about 5 hours. So that is giving you a full example of what the qualifications are going to look like, what the end knowledge test is going to look like and how we need to prepare those learners for that end knowledge test. And also what the end synoptic assessment is going to look like. We're also putting together at Sitting Guilds a bit of hints and tips to get your learners ready for these as well. And hints and tips for you, making sure that, yeah, if those learners are bringing in clients that are familiar to them, how they've got to be playing the game on the day. Making sure we are checking that those clients are going to meet the requirements of that synoptic assessment. Making sure that those clients are acting in a professional way as well. So we're putting together a hints and a tips, so I will send that through to you as well. So what we got ready for you to support you with these new qualifications. We brought out our Level 3 Smart Screen Plus last year. We've obviously got our Sitting Guilds MHG Academy, which is our tutor learner resource site, which includes all your skills work, all your lesson plans, video e-learning, and we've now done a similar offer for beauty therapy. Our Level 3 beauty therapy went live last year, and we've now developed Level 2 beauty enhanced smart screen as well. This links completely to the Level 2 beauty therapy technical qualification. Within it, we've got all your schemes of work, all your lesson plans, activities, worksheets, PowerPoints for all 12 units. And we have now video e-learning for 9 out of the 12 units, which is supported by instructional videos, which interacts with knowledge as well. So with the new Beauty Smart Screen Plus, for the Level 3, we have instruction, we have sample schemes of work, lesson plans, PowerPoints, handouts, activities, and revision worksheets. These are the video e-learning we have at Level 3, and feedback that we've got from centres this year has been very positive about the Beauty Smart Screen Plus. So we've got video e-learning for body massage, facial electrical, body electrical, dry spa treatment, electrical epilation, Indian head, tanning, provide individual semi-permanent lashes, and stone therapy. We've also got our learner journals. Now, what I love about our technicals is that actually it brings together what we now as your awarding organisation wants and what Ofsted. We're only really going to now look at the end point, which we're going to obviously mark, externally set an externally marked paper for you, and we're going to come in and either do a visiting moderation for your practical or a desk-based moderation. But we still want to support you with that journey, but Ofsted look at the journey. So when we were looking at the new technicals, we don't really need to have a candidate logbook. But what our curriculum managers have said is that you quite like to have something to work through with the learners. So we have produced learner journals. You don't have to use them. You don't have to have everything completed in it. You will not, your moderators will not look at this. This is just to support yourselves and your learner with the journey to get them ready for that endpoint assessment. Within it, it's useful glossary of definitions and terms. So you've got hints and tips from industry experts. You've got unit planners. You've got formative assessments in there, which at the end of each formative assessment, we're asking the learner to rank themselves. Do they need more practice? Where do they think their strengths are? What do they need to revise more on, or what do they develop more on? Again, key things to link to Ofsted and what Ofsted are looking for. Throughout it, it reminds learners about their values and behaviours. And also, we've got information about working in the hair and barbering industry. We've got your work experience unit. We've got mock assessments in there. So it's really just a tool to help your learners get ready for that endpoint assessment. For beauty, we've done exactly the same for beauty as well. The only learner journal we haven't developed this year is for beauty retail, just because it didn't lend itself quite so well as it did for the hairdressing and beauty therapy ones. But we will see how everybody gets on this year, and if you decide you want one, we can possibly develop one for next year. These are all practically ready now. They will be sending you out soon the logbook code numbers and how you order these through. You order these similar way to you order logbooks through the Garden. These are the learner journals that we've got this year for level 3, and the feedback that we have got from centres using them is that they have been really useful on making sure you're tracking that learner, you're tracking that learner's journey. We're also bringing out some new textbooks for you for level 2. Sitting Guilds used to have our own publishing department, but now we've gone into partnership with Odder because we've got so many new textbooks having to come out this year. So we've got a new textbook coming out for hairdressing, which supports hairdressing and barbering, and we've got a new one for beauty therapy at level 2, which supports the beauty therapy qualification. We are looking for next year, we haven't got it for this year, but we are looking for next year in doing some support resources around media and theatrical media and makeup. So this is what's coming. As I say, we've got our new technical certificate for hairdressing and barbering. This will be out and it'll be ready for first delivery in September 2017. You can pre-order these textbooks now. We've got our level 2 beauty therapy, which will be ready. We've also got our level 2 hairdressing for hair professionals, which is for a new apprenticeship, which I'm doing in another webinar at 12:30 about today. But unfortunately, that won't be ready until January 2018. We've got our level 3 textbooks. They went live last year. And we've got our level 3 textbook for hairdressing and barbering, and we've got our level 3 advanced technical diploma for beauty and spa. The step-by-steps that were in the Beauty and Spa textbook completely map to the new Beauty Smart Screen Plus. So you've got the same routines in there, you've got the same therapist. So where we've got video e-learning, we've filmed that and we've photographed that as step-by-steps as well to reinforce that learner's learning. So step-by-step photo guides, you've got workplace values and behaviours, you've got handy hints and tips. It's got links to essential maths. You've got real world, real life scenarios in there around the hair and beauty industry. And at the end of each chapter, you've got your test your knowledge questions, which again support the learner and getting them ready for that end knowledge test. So I haven't got any other questions that are coming up. I'll give people a few more minutes if there are any questions. But I will, as I say, I will email everybody this presentation in probably the next hour, so you've got that. And if you've got any questions, please come straight through to me and email me those questions. Also, once this recording has been, it will take a few days for me to get the recording back. I will send you the recording of this so that you can then share this with your teams, or if you want to go back through it, there's a few areas that you're unsure, or please. So I hope you found this useful. Thank you for signing in today to the webinar, and I will look forward to speaking to you and seeing you again soon. Thank you.